What's up, everybody? Shawn here, back with another live Live to Roll. We got Tom out for the day, so Sarab filling in for us as our third host today.
Everybody.
So let's get into some intros. I'm Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 19 years ago. Bobby, you want to kick it off this time, and then we'll let Sarab go.
Yeah, why not? I'm Bobby Rohan, C5, C6, quadriplegic of 34 years from a bicycle accident, bicycle versus bus, and living here in Southern California. But we brought up a ringer today. I called him up I said, "You're in the big leagues." So we've had him on our Rolling Over the Hill, and he's on our gaming channel. He's a big part of helping Tom out with gaming, and he's the Fortnite expert, the expert of computers. He's the know-it-all. So, Rob, take it away.
Mic test. Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Sarab, also known as Hell Wheels and the gaming channel. And I've been injured for 30 years, T4 and T4 to T7 incomplete. My injury is from a war accident, from a blast when I was 5 years old. And I'm glad to be here today, filling in for my buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Sarab. Thanks for joining us today, man.
We gave him 10 minutes to join. Hey, you want to be up
Tom's
on the
out
show?
having fun doing some deep sea fishing and cool stuff right now. Let's get into it. We're going to be talking today about family dynamics, family friends, all that kind of just how things change maybe with your injury and your disability. Also, the dynamic of having family and or friends even be your caregivers and things like that. So we're going to kind of go into all those dynamics and some of the issues and things like that, or some of the benefits that come from those relationships. To start, like, did you guys have family in the beginning or now? Or let's just start with the beginning. Did you guys have a lot of family helping you to start out?
Well,
I know,
yeah,
Sarab, you were a child, so
right.
probably.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
start with Rob because you were the youngest of the three of us. So
yeah.
obviously your parents, your mom and family had to take care for you. So what was your experience like?
So I was 5 years old, and it was during the war, a civil war in Afghanistan. 1993, I might be 1 year off. But when I got injured, I didn't have my pops. It was only my mom. But basically, my mom and my uncles took care of me till they were able to transport me to Pakistan at age 6, I think. And but they were there throughout the recovery, getting the surgery to get better because it was from a blast, so I had a lot of shrapnels in my body. Uh,
So
but
Rob, did you go to a hospital when this happened, or did they just do surgery and then send you on home, and you didn't get any of the spinal cord care?
no, there was no spinal cord care, unfortunately.
Oh,
Surgery and just in home recovery because there was active war going on, so there was no. I mean, there was no other options. Pretty much, I was at home recovering. I have all the memories. I don't. One thing bad about my mine is I always kept all the memories. They never go away, which are good memories. Makes me be glad about life. But yeah, family was with me. My uncles, two of my uncles were with me as well. One of my uncles actually pulled me from the event that happened. He pulled me, and his middle finger got cut off during the thing. But yeah, I had my two of my uncles with me.
So, how is your relationships with them now? Do you still, I mean, with your mom and your uncles and stuff, do you still see them, talk to them a lot? You guys have a good relationship?
I have my mom in here in America. Came with my mom, but that's the only family I have. Just my mom, my sister, and my sisters and my brother that I am currently living with. They have helped me out throughout my life. Also, my wife. I forget my wife.
yeah,
Don't forget your wife.
I
yeah. Trust me,
forgot.
take it from somebody that knows that did it once, and it's not a good
Uh,
thing. Not a
but yeah.
good thing.
Mm. So my wife, my two sisters, and my brother, they have helped me throughout my life, and my mom obviously as well. But unfortunately, right now my mom is a little bit elderly. so she cannot really help me much. But in Pakistan, she was the one who was caretaking me. Through the infection, the infections that we regularly word. We normally get infections like UTI, sepsis kind of infections, also bed sores. So throughout those times, my mom definitely helped me when I was younger.
Yeah, dude, that's
So
cool, man.
with your mom helping you back then, what did she have to help back then that um, she doesn't do now? I mean, obviously, when you were younger, you probably had the diapers situation. She probably helped you with some of that. Um, Also, did she have to? What was your wheelchair situation like? I mean, so
So,
that your uncles and your mom had to probably do a lot for you because it was probably no wheelchair, right?
mhm. When I got injured, my first year, second year, third, fourth, fifth, there was no diapers. There was no like I had my wheelchair at some point, but then it got taken away or it broke or something. Uh, so she had to carry me around. Plus, I was injured from my neck. I didn't have no feelings from neck below till I was able to somehow get sensation over here, this area, and slowly. And one day I got my arms, which was another event, but pretty much clots was a savior, and she would carry me to places and also bath and all that. But I was pretty much stationary, no wheelchair.
Did did she have to do like the bow program, or did you? Okay, so they knew how to tell her to do something like that.
Well, the it was naturally. I mean, they had to go regularly to the hospital because I was not able to, my stomach was not working properly. So I would back
Yeah,
up and get stomach pain, and then I would go to hospital, and then a hospital gave me anti-pressure medication. Let's just say that to, and then we would be back home and rinse and repeat. I guess there was no program, no catheters, no diapers, no wheelchair, no good beds. I mean, this is what you're looking at in third ones and countries that have a really low this kind of technology.
yeah, amazing,
Yeah, that's
amazing.
crazy, man. You had to go through a lot, and I'm sure for your mom that was pretty tough stuff to deal with and do. Having that's a lot, but um, so that's good, man. So how's your relationship now, or Bobby? Do you want to go a little bit on kind of
Yeah,
what your
yeah. What
early?
we can do is
Because
start
you
the
were pretty
early
young
life.
too.
Yeah, I was 17, so I was pretty
Yeah, not
young. Yeah, so I mean, was I was still at the house living with my parents, and um, I had to go home, and my dad, stepped up and he did the care. He did the bowel program, and uh, every once we didn't have an accessible shower for a long time, so it was hard for him to, but he would sometimes carry me to the shower and put me on the shower bench so I can get a good shower, or we'd do a lot of bed showers, which, at the time I didn't mind because I wasn't sweating much, and, luckily for us quads, we don't. I mean, you still want to be clean, but, luckily it didn't matter as much back then. And, the only thing we did was a handicap sink that how, why they would ever call it a handicap sink was beyond me because you roll under it and it was so long that the water's way over there, and if you spit, you're like, how do I get you have to like bring the water up here to clean out that
I've seen
sink.
those type of things. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like whoever thought of this is needs to be bonked over the head. So my dad did a lot, and it did bring us closer. My mom had a tough time with my accident, like I'm sure all parents do. They both did, and they it was very hard on my family. It was very hard on my brother. Um, he got the short end of the stick. I mean, because for a couple of years until he went off to college, it was always all about me. What about Bobby? What about Bobby? And he got left out on a lot of things, and my parents put all their focus on me. And so I know my brother got the short end of the stick for sure. And that's one thing that as I got older and recognized it, it sucks, but and also what he told me, because I wasn't focused on my brother. I wasn't focused on anything but to heal, to get better, and to get as much independence as possible. So, I mean, in a way, it's like I had, high school friends, but they're high school friends, and most of them went off to college at the end of the year. I had a girlfriend at the time that I was supposed to go to prom with, but obviously I'm sitting there in the hospital. So they came and saw me in their prom dress, but you know, they all had to move on. And that was okay because I had to move on too. So it wasn't like friends abandoned me. I think it was a mutual thing. I had to focus on me, and they had to focus on themselves. With moving on with their life, and so it didn't bother me at all. Um, the one that bothered me, and he was actually just trying to call me, was my best friend. Um, he had a tough time with it, and even though he was around, but I can tell just he wouldn't tell me about his bike ride or his adventures of that day for exercising. We were both training for triathlons together, and I mean, you couldn't tear us apart when we were younger. So it was tough. It was tough for him, and over time it amended, but he also had to move on too. He had met somebody, and um, his first girlfriend, and married his first girlfriend, and still married with her today, and have a grown up son, and so he had to move on with the family. But you know I know that it was a selfish thing as um, that I had to put on myself, and I think we all do a little bit. And I think it's we tend to lash out to the people that we love most, and when we're having that frustrating day, and it's not fair for them. I know I try to think about it consciously, but maybe at times I'm sure, especially now as I'm older, with my wife, and we can talk about that more. It's easier to out on them, and then when Sarab and I talk almost every day, but I'm not going to lash out at Sarab. I'm just going to be like, yeah, this day sucked because blah blah blah. But I might be negative, and my wife might have to take it, and I'm sure it was like that back then. Who can remember 35 years ago how much I did it? But I know I see a lot of, younger people that do that to their parents. I'm like, not cool, dude, not cool. So, and then, once I moved out of the house, my dad came for like a week to help me out with my bowel program. And he just looked at me. He's like, you moved out. Why am I doing this? And I had to get an aid. I'm like, oh, yeah. That was one thing I didn't really think about. I was like, well, I try to make it go the easy way. But so luckily at work, I was working at the time, and somebody comes up to me and she's like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I just stress. I got to find an aid. I never, and she goes, my mom, my mom would love to do it. I'm like, yeah, but I have to be here at 8. Would you want to come at 5 in the morning? She goes, yeah. And because she had a job too at a nursing home, so it just worked out, and I got an aide for the weekdays, and then once in a while my dad would help me or my roommate would help me. So so it got up to that point, and then from then on I always had an aide come in and help me out, because trying to do it myself, which I really wanted to, but man, I discovered real quick
It's
to
hard.
get to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, no bueno.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I'm spent, and the one or two times I tried it, and I go into work and I'm like, here, can you put my shoes on because I'm having trouble, because I'm done. I'm just done.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. That's what sometimes we like really wear ourselves out just trying to do our care and stuff like that, and it helps to have that help and good help, care, family, friends, hired, whatever it is. But for me, in the beginning, I also, to start, I had my family. My actually one of my younger brothers was gonna try to help me with my care in the beginning, but he was still a little younger and not quite fully as responsible with it. So my dad kind of ended up taking over a lot of the care, and helping me with a lot of different stuff. But he was working, so we had to have help on the weekdays. Um, and so I had to hire care kind of early on because my brothers just weren't quite like with it. They were younger. I mean, they were only like 17, 18 years old, so
Yeah,
they
they had
weren't
to grow
really.
up too.
Yeah. So actually, I think my brother might even been like, I think he was barely 17. The one they were trying to have do it. So like and I was 21. So it was like it was just yeah, it wasn't going to be a great fit. So it just that didn't work out as well, but it didn't sour our relationship then. I was really close with my brothers for the first lot of years of my injury. They were kind of my best friends. I hung out with all the time, and that was really nice. But then over time, everybody, like you said, people just move on with their lives. You have to grow up, start families, things like that. So now I don't see them as often. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, that was in the beginning. It was really a lot of my dad and stuff that was helping because
Well,
once I got out of the hospital, I moved in with him. So
your mom and your parents weren't together at the time, right?
yeah, my mom was there. She moved out here and was living in a hotel the entire like 3 months I was in rehab and in the hospital, living every day, bringing me food, helping me with everything in the hospital, like doing a lot of care and help then.
Yeah.
But just once I went home, she was living in Ohio at the time, so that's what she was just like flew out here and was just staying out here with me. So she went back to Ohio eventually, and then my dad was helping build a room for me and give me some space at the house. So I was able to just move in there, and yeah, and it worked out. Like I had a really, to be honest, by the time they finished my room there, I had a great setup there. I had the only time I've ever had a roll-in shower, a full nice bathroom. I had my own entrance from the side of the house. It was great. My dad really went all out and built like really built me a nice space for myself, and I really appreciate that. I loved that. That was great. Um, so yeah, the only reason why I ended up having to move eventually was because he passed away, and then I was left with my stepmom, and that wasn't the greatest relationship then. So, but even that, like, she still allowed me some grace, and like she was nice enough. She didn't just like kick me out or something crazy like that. She'd give me plenty of time to find a place and do my thing and figure out my next move in life. Um, but now, yeah, I have still a ton of family help because I'm living with my grandma and my uncle. My grandma helps me with all kinds of stuff, with like for cooking and cleaning and a lot of that kind of stuff. And then now I also even have my girlfriend is my care or one like pretty much my main caregiver as well right now. And we can talk about that and those dynamics and stuff like that too. I know you mentioned Ellen and stuff before, so we can talk
Yeah.
about that. So yeah, I do still have a lot of family, significant other like help. So um,
Well,
and
we
I
should
still
say,
but
go
what
ahead.
I was gonna say, and
Go ahead.
I feel like it hasn't damaged any of my relationships, and like you said, I have had moments where I'm like a little bit like grouchy, like and I do have those momentary lapses and stuff, and I hate that. I try to be better about that because I don't want to be doing that to people I love and stuff. But yeah, it's just like you said, Bobby. Sometimes you're just in like that place, and you know, um, your body's hurting. Everything just is hard, and uh, yeah,
You're
it's tough.
grumpy as hell the whole day, and people don't understand why you're grumpy. Bobby pointed out two good points. That one was that when we get injured, uh, let's just say our parents put all their focus on us and our other siblings who are sometimes younger than us, sometimes older than us. Older, it's more understanding, but when it's younger, like for mine as well, it was my little brother. All the attention went to me, and my brother was like younger than me, like 1 years old, 2 years old. So he got left out for 5 years. But during my teenage years, let's say from teen years, um, I tried to. I noticed that and I tried to mend that relationship. So me and him were partners in crime. Any we did all the evil things you could think of when we were young. Firecrackers, so many things. And he was my ride or die buddy. And then I realized the second when we hit 18, 19, 17, that these are the years that there's cars involved. You make more high school buddies, solid friendships, and you got to go places. That's where I had to realize for myself that I can do a lot of the stuff, or I do not have the energy to be with my brother. So that's where I lost a little bit in touch with my brother. Another thing is lashing out. I had the same thing, Bobby, where when I would be so frustrated from the negative words of the doctors, or just like back to back to back, you have this problem, you have that problem, you got to fix this, you got to fix that, and then school, and then relationship with family, uh, and then on top of that, your relationship with God. That's also that we have that as well, because we got to have some sort of faith to go through all this and be okay with it when we were younger, you know and all of that combined, I would always take out my anger on my siblings. I will be the angry person. Don't ask this Surab, he's gonna get mad. Don't do, oh, if you found out you were hanging out with those guys who were not good, Surab's gonna get mad and he's gonna get angry, you know but
Right.
we
All I know
realized that
about
the second.
no,
Go ahead.
and that's true. I just wanted to point out that I would, I mean, literally, I would get so frustrated with things that I would, hit the wall, hit my head on the counter, even up until the time with my wife on stupid things. And I mean, come down from my health to a stupid, when the Broncos lost, I think sometimes I'd be like,
Oh
"Are
my
you
god.
kidding me?" you know, like, ah. and and um, it wasn't healthy. But we have all this anger inside that you know you, that it's not easy to just go out for a run or like what I used to do, for a long bike ride or get my aggressions out, especially when I was in high school and like I wasn't a good student and I was on the swim team, so keeping my grades up was super hard, and so I'd be frustrated all the time. And and when I would get done with school, it was like I'm going for a ride. And I would climb, all the hills around that I could find, and that helped. But when I now in the chair, you're like, I just you get so mentally frustrated that sometimes I took it out on myself in a bad way. So, but I
Yeah.
wanted to say hi to the chat. We got your
Yeah,
mom
we
in the
got a bunch of
house,
people
Shawn.
on.
Yeah, we got your grandma. We got Darren. We got Robert. Uh, Darren, you said my little brother takes care of you a lot. Um, Let us know how that is. Yeah, does it help your relationship, hurt your relationship? We got Jeff in the house, Donald in the house.
What's up,
Um,
Jeff?
yeah, and Tri Valley Metal. So welcome all. If you have a question
Soto in
for
the
us,
house.
yeah, Soto's in. I said that right.
I
Soto
said,
in the house. I think so. But uh, so Rob, so now you're growing up. When did you start taking ownership of your care? Where your
Oh,
parents, where your mom and family didn't have to help as much? Because I know now a lot. You're pretty much independent now.
yeah, definitely. I actually lost my independence a little bit the second I got married because I got lazy. my, my
That
wife
we
was
can
like,
bring
"No,
up.
no, no, you're not doing this. I'm your wife. I got you." I'm like, "No, but it's so."
Uh,
So
but you
point
didn't
noted,
say
you're
no.
gonna
No,
get lazy when you get
you didn't.
married, okay?
You didn't say no. You're like, oh, okay, cool. You can do it
Yeah.
for me.
But yeah, basically around let me think about this one. This one is deep. Maybe around when I hit 13 years old. I was still in Pakistan
wow.
and 13 years old. And that's when I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm gonna do my shower. Because I had my arm string back then, and I was already like doing crazy stuff from before, a couple years before. But after that, I just did everything by myself. And at age 13 in Pakistan, we figured out a way where I was able to get diapers. But it was super expensive. I had to trade in an arm and a leg to get it, honestly. But like, I was able to get it. And then we came to America, and wow, like I was like, what? Wheelchairs for days, diapers for days. What is this catheter? Oh, that's painful. Stay away from catheters. Okay. So yeah, age 13 is the time.
Oh, cool.
That's pretty good.
Now,
That's young, man. I didn't
yeah.
think you'd be that young, but that's cool.
Did it like it made you feel better, correct?
Oh yeah. Basically, I don't know. Some one event happened that made me realize that pretty much I have to take care of myself. I have to do everything because I wanted to. How can I say? Uh, be the boss of my own self. Because my mom's gonna get older, and she was unhealthy, unfortunately, because she was taking care of everybody. So that pretty much made me, I wanted to help her. That was the main goal. I wanted to help my mom and be her shoulder, because she started to need that. And plus I didn't want to, when I was younger, when I was like 13, 14, I realized that, hey, I'm doing wrong by being disabled and getting all the attention to myself, and my little brother, my sisters are not getting any attention. That was, I think, the big pointer for me to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Another point, I still got lazy when I got married. I'm letting you guys know again. I gained a lot of weight. I was too happy. The good food, you don't have to make it yourself. Your wife is making good food for you.
Oh, I know it so well. And when I, met my wife, same thing. I couldn't believe it when I went to go get weighed one time, and the doctor's like 165, and I'm like, what? I mean, I always knew myself in the 140s, not even in the, somehow I even skipped the 150s because I mean she treated me like a king, and I would drive down from the valley to Orange County where I live now all the time, and she would have a plate of cheese and crackers and meats, and and here's a glass of wine, and my glass of wine was like once a week, or a beer once a week, or a I'm afraid to admit this, but I always had like a 6 pack of Zima. I always thought that made me feel adult.
Six
I,
pack,
you
and
know,
how long would you finish it?
I mean, it would take
Zima.
me like a couple weeks, but I mean, it
uh,
was like I don't know. I just felt like, oh, I can buy Zima. Yeah, I have my own house and 6 pack of Zima, and then you started hearing some of the like. I think that's not meant for straight guys, or you're like, I guess so. I liked it. I don't know. It was um, until my friends would start making fun of me. But yeah, I got spoiled, and we had like getting to know each other, and having somebody cook for me, because I was living I was living from Del Taco to Wendy's to what friends want to go out this night, and so it was always going out to restaurants and living on drive through, because I had a roommate, but she was my roommate. I didn't treat it like, oh, can you make me this now? And I fed for myself. Plus, I get off work and I meet up with friends, especially a good friend of mine, Jeff Mitchell. Man, him and his wife like kind of took care of me a little bit here and there, in the sense of I get up to their house and she would make dinner for the three of us, and or we go out to the movies, and then Jeff moved away, but when he came back, then we were always going to cowboy dancing. That's how I finally met my wife, and so I lived on the road in a way of food, and so now I have somebody making food for me, and we I'd pick recipes, she would make it, and that went well until one night I picked a meatloaf that took like, I don't know, 5 hours. Like we were eating dinner at almost 11 o'clock at night. And it was crap. It was so nasty. I don't know. It was like some egg in the middle of it. I mean, it sounded good the way I saw it on the recipe, but it's like, but yeah. And then, uh, by the grace of, God, I think, I've explained about my daughter who's also has a disability, and we were going to go away for the weekend or out for the night. I can't oh, it was a Christmas party for my wife's work. And this big old gal comes in, her name was Shirley. And my wife goes, "Can a man be named Shirley?" And I'm like, "I don't know why." And she's like, "Well, the gal that's coming over to take care of Mel for the night sounds like a guy, but her name is Shirley." And so as she come in, you can see, just big and strong. And she just comes through the door. It's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Oh, good." She's like, "Oh, I see you're a C56 quad. How long you been like that?" And I'm like, "Holy cow. I guess you know what quadriplegia is." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, I've taken care of lots of people who are quadriplegics." And I go, "Anybody I might know?" And she goes, "Yeah, Becky." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh." My gym teacher, or no, yeah, no, my swim coach in high school, when I got hurt, she did a fundraiser for me, and then told me about her best friend that got injured years before, Becky McCafferty. And so it was like, oh my God, here's a gift. And we got her number when she left, and I called her up the next day, and I'm like, "Hey, I don't know. I know you work through an agency, but would you be willing to manage care for me on the download?" And she's like, "Absolutely." And she was my care, So I had one caregiver for 6 years, and then then I had Shirley for another um, over 10 years. So I've just been blessed with good caretakers until Shirley, Shirley finally broke her leg, and was just starting to have some of her health problems. She was a little bit older, and she found, luckily she found me more caregivers to help out.
That's
Some
nice.
weren't working out, and then I found somebody that her husband had a disability, and she stepped up, and she was amazing. And I mean, she was like, she anticipated every move. If I told her one thing, she would never forget. She would always do it the way I said it the one time. And it was just amazing. And she was just a good friend for us, and still is an amazing person. And we talk to her all the time. But, when COVID hit, that's when it was now all on my wife. And, also some, you were saying about getting lazy too, Sarab. You know, I definitely got lazy I was, before getting it, I never had anybody at night. So I transfer into my bed myself, get my pants off, hook on my, leg bag, shirt, and, all that, and put my covers up and go to bed. And then until somebody came into my house in the morning. And then when I met my wife, she's like, "Here, let me help you out." And then when we got married, it was more like, "I want to go to bed. I want to go to bed now. So I'm taking this off." I don't, because here I am going side to side, taking my shorts, trying to get my socks off. And she's just like, "Oh, I'm doing this for you, because I want to go sleep, So uh, I got lazy. And then, I had a little sore back then, like a stage one that freaked me out the first time I ever had something. And so then she was helping me transfer onto the bed. And then next thing I know, I'm not transferring on the bed like I used to. And so, I need her for a lot now. And, um, you know, things that I have to think about is, you know, when I go to bed, I'm not 100% about thinking about, oh yeah, I need this, 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 this. So it should be ready. So when she does help me, she doesn't have to get up. And not very good about it. And I need to get better. And when she's bitching at me and all, for the right reasons, I'm like, I got, so I always try, I sleep with a headphone in my ear all night with my book on tape. It helps me sleep. And so I try to hook that up. And one thing, we have the fan on high, and us quads. I just need the blanket just to block it sometimes. So if I forget about my blanket, and then she helps me with, something to drink before and I just got to get better, and I'm taking advantage, and that's not fair for her. And I think now since COVID, she's been my primary, caregiver. But thank God for the colostomy, because if it was bowel program, mm-mm. That was one thing that I was always going to be no about. And even though she has done it for me a couple times, she doesn't like it. I didn't like her to do it. It's not a good relationship for us.
Plus, when you're freshly injured, a lot of people. This is in the topic. Um, when you're freshly injured and somebody's trying to help you, caretaker, the biggest embarrassment or problem that people go through is going number 2 without feeling it. And my buddies are actually going through, the newly injured buddies that I got, and pretty much and they don't understand that you need some sort of pad, some sort of diaper in the beginning, just so you can get a handle of it till you got your bowel program ready, till you know your timings. Like, hey, this much time, this is no, don't eat this. This will, ruin your day. So you can have less accidents to pretty much having no accidents. Uh, and when you have a number 2, and let's say if your caretakers take care of you, like one person in the chat said, it's really hard to find good caretakers, because the second they see some of them, the second they see the number 2, they're like, okay, no, this is not for me. Yeah, this is too much. Because this guy is literally going to restroom every 3 times a day, because he just ate something bad. But that's a lot of work, especially if you're 150 to 180 pounds. You got to pick him up, because he cannot be picked up, or pick her up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Darren was saying in the chat earlier that what was my point? He was saying, where is it? Oh yeah, his brother hated when caregivers would not show up, which is the most frustrating. I'm luckily have never been in that situation where my caregiver, I just always had good caregivers, except for one. She was great, but she had another job and would take her time getting here. And I'm a morning person. I'm the opposite of Sarah, and I want to be up. I want to be going. I like to be up in my chair, early. And sometimes when I'm waiting until 10, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
Bobby, it's not by choice, okay?
Yours by choice. You're a gamer, and
by
I know
choice.
you play. I know you play games at night until wee hours. I know you say you're in pain, but it's you. You also have a gaming addiction at night.
Well, now, but now, because there's options now available. You got iPad, iPhone, you got computer that you could play from your bed. Like, there's so much things now available. But back in the day, it wasn't my choice. I love waking up in the morning. Go ahead, Shawn. You were saying something. Sorry, I cut you off.
No. I was just gonna say that's getting up in the morning, going and stuff is great. And yeah, I hate it, like that unreliability of caregivers. That's one of my, like, once they've been like missed. If you miss once, that's like, okay, like maybe there was something that happened, understandably. But if it starts to happen a second or third time, I'm like, all right, I'm out. I gotta find somebody because that's the biggest thing when you're hiring somebody, that reliability. And I've actually had a caregiver that's been working for me. She does just 1 day a week for me right now, but she's been working for me for about 3 years now, almost. Really good. She comes in 2 hours, knocks out all my care. Like, she's just really efficient with everything and stuff. And she actually recently, like, I switched the days on her. Usually I have her come on a Thursday. I had to, switch my schedule that week. I asked her to come Tuesday, and she forgot to put it in her schedule for the first time. And like, she's never even been late. So that was one thing I was like, I kind of gave her a little bit of like a leeway and grace. She apologized. She's offered to come do a day for free. Like, when she came back this week, she's like, I'll work a day for. I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, mistakes do happen for people. It's just like one of those are all the time. And luckily, I had my grandma here who was able to help me get my bowel care started. And then my girlfriend was able to come by, help me get finished, get in the shower, and finish up kind of the day and get going. Um, but again, and she was on because she does caregiving as well. So she actually had another client she was with who she just talked like he didn't need immediate care. He was kind of just like more like helping errands and things like that in the day. And so she had to just like leave and come help me. Um, and but like she worked it out to where she went back, helped him, and that's what any good caregiver would do for most people. If you are hiring people, it's good to have people that that care about all their clients and stuff. So
I don't know,
Yeah.
Shawn, if you want to bring it or talk about it 'cause with um, your ex girlfriend uh, who was
yeah, so
living with
that
you,
wasn't
right?
a very good caregiving situation. So in
Yeah.
that situation, we were together and for a while, and then she didn't like her job, was frustrated with work, didn't want to be there as much. She was working, 40 plus hours. She thought it'd be a lot easier to be my caregiver and help me out with other things around the house. And that didn't work out because she wasn't like a natural care, like it wasn't a good fit for her and for me. So it was frustrating for both of us a lot of mornings because she just was not really into doing like the care. Um, it made the relationship hard and it did stress it out. So it feels a lot different now because my girlfriend now is kind of a natural caregiver. She really has that caring. She just is a caring person, and she's done it. And she actually started as my caregiver and then turned into my girlfriend. So it was like the opposite. Like, um, so for right now, it's working out good. But like we've talked about it, if anything does come up and stuff, like we'll talk about that, and if it does stress anything in the future, which hopefully it doesn't, because I like for her, I love having her around, and like she's just great to be around anyway. So I like having her in the morning to come and like I get to spend my couple hours in the morning with her, getting up and stuff. So for me, that's great, and it's been working out good. So I think it really depends on that dynamic and the people, because both have to respect. Like that's the other thing is she when she comes to do my caregiving, she will come in her scrubs still and work like she comes like it's a job still to do those hours of care, and then when she's off, she's like goes more into girlfriend mode, like so she doesn't like
But
fully.
when she puts you in the shower, then she changes clothes,
Oh yeah,
and
and I mean
then
I'm sneaking in
clean
little
up for
like
the day,
cheekies
and then
and
you
stuff
guys
all
are
the
just
time, but
I knew where was this was going.
uh, yeah, so
yeah,
I,
it's it. I mean, now I do have some help 3 times a week. It's still not enough, and for the last couple of years too with COVID, she was like, "You stay home, I'll do the grocery shopping," because we didn't want me to get COVID because of we were afraid that it was going to do what it finally did, is get me really sick and ended up in the hospital and was dying. Um, and uh, and then with last year having a pressure sore, which was actually uh, the surgical wound from an abscess. So I guess you can call it a sore because an abscess is, damage to the skin. So, and that, last year she did everything, and that's pretty, that changed a lot of dynamics. And now that I'm getting healthier and doing a lot more, uh, I do get extra time on Mondays with my caregiver. And so I'm like, I'll go do the grocery shopping, or I want to step up more because for a while, um, I would do, work and the grocery stores and go pick up the cleaners. And even there was a time just before I started working at Rancho, I had stopped working at my old job selling catheters because selling catheters just wasn't my thing.
yeah.
I didn't care for it. I don't, Anthony, Anthony can sell, our good buddy Anthony can sell ice to an Eskimo, but I could not sell a fur coat to an Eskimo for some reason. I'm a great person. I don't want to talk about business. I want to talk about the other stuff and not try to mix those two. Uh, but I did everything. She was at work full time, and so if she's at work full time, I'm going to be as resourceful as I can. What do you need done? And I did everything except she, and thank God she's the person that pays the bills, and she's the one that gets to yell at me all the time that I buy too much, and so, and it still goes on
Oh
today.
my God.
Why do we have this Amazon box here again? I'm like, oh shit. But um,
Oh God.
yeah,
Amazon. That's a curse
I
word
know.
here.
Yeah, it becomes a curse word sometimes. But she also does like it, at times when she's like, "Get me some pants. Just order it on Amazon." I'm like, "Okay, that's a lot easier." And that sucks. It's putting out a lot of stores out of business. But um,
Yeah.
yeah, so
It's
wheelchair,
transforming.
wheelchair. Rick said, good caretakers are so hard to find. Heck
Yeah, they
yeah.
are.
Oh, my buddy Jeff Mitchell is in the house. He's like,
I
"Yeah,
was
we have dinners."
I was gonna say that earlier, but I don't want to interrupt you. Your buddy was there, so
Yeah,
we
that's
heard a
right.
lot of good things about you, Jeff.
Oh, we
Hey,
had
family.
Yeah, we had so much fun. He lived not too far from me, and I'd get off work and join him. We went to New Orleans together, and the funniest story, Jeff, kill me if you want, but one time I had a caregiver that came to the house in New Orleans that we were staying at. So his wife's helping him with his bowel program. This caretaker is helping me with mine, and we're both, it was like the hospital old days. I'm facing one way, he's facing another. Poop's going, this way, and they were both cracking up because this nurse was just like, kaboom, let's, like you're like, whoa, okay, a little easier on this dish stem over here. But yeah, Jeff was my partner in crime for a long years with rugby and hanging out. So
Yeah, I remember Jeff. I haven't seen him in a long time, but good to see you in the chat, Jeff. Hope you're
yeah.
doing well. He is
Yeah.
always cool.
So
The-
how I don't know if for you, and I'd love for people in the chat to chime in on this. After having an injury, some family members have a very hard time with it. I know with my mom. I'm sure for both my mom, my dad, and my brother, um, it was very tough on them to see somebody one day so vibrant of life, of running and walking and all this, to boom, you're in a chair. And there was even my grandfather, just old school, going, looking at me, and he sees my hand still curled, and he's like, "You're not moving your hands yet? Come on, you're weak. You're not trying hard enough." And you're like, "Oh my God, I am." They don't know. It's hard, you know, for them to accept it. But especially grandparents back in the, my grandparents. Luckily my grandma handled it a lot better than my grandpa. My dad handled it a lot better than my mom. And I'm sure to this day I do a lot, and I try to tell my mom, and I don't. I do it because I want to show them that I'm okay,
Yeah.
and I don't get that response from them sometimes, and it crushes me. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault. I'll be like, "I won this big award for this," and my mom's like, "Oh, did you know? You know, Johnny did this from. We met him at the. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't give a flying f about Johnny. Didn't you hear what I just told you I did? What I accomplished?" And I think kids, even without an injury or not, some kids do that, and they don't get what they want from their parents a lot. But for me, that's, to this day, I still, the first person I want to tell is my mom. And because I want to show to her that I'm okay. Don't worry about me. And I know she's my mom. They'll always worry about us. Our family will always worry about you. And now that we're getting older, my brother and I, the last, dealing with my parents in the last 5 years, it's really brought my brother and I closer. And I love that relationship now. It is so strong. And, the best thing that we ever talk about is not family stuff, but about what he's doing and accomplishing and what I'm doing and accomplishing. So it's great to see that my relationship with my brother's getting better than what it, than when we were, he was living his life, in a marriage and trying to grow a business, and I was trying to do mine, and it wasn't anything. But now that we're older, we recognize that, uh, we have a lot in common. When I was riding bikes, he wasn't riding it, and now he's riding mountain bikes and bikes and all this, and I'm just so excited for him because I love bikes. I love watching bike racing, and now that I have my own bike, it's like I can't wait to go riding with him one day. When he's going to be down here a lot more, and we can cruise the beach now. So
That's
Yeah,
cool. It's good you guys have that relationship now that you're kind of mending and getting close. Were you guys? I
yeah,
know you said before he helped you. Like, have you guys were close early and then kind of separated?
well,
Or
no, I was. How my brother still likes me is beyond me.
okay.
I was a mean brother. I played a lot of stupid jokes on him that I'm not proud of, and picked on him a lot, and until he got bigger than I did, and then finally the roles reversed. This was before my accident, and that's one thing. My brother never treated me like like I was disabled, and still to this day. And now I can even say when I got sick the last couple of years, he's been there right at my side for me, taking care of me. Back then it's not that that wasn't his job to take care of me, and I know he didn't like it when he did try to help out. He did his best, but it wasn't. That's not his thing. Here he is becoming a physical therapist. I'm like, yeah, do range of motion on me, and he's like, no, it's not my, I don't want to. I do it all the time, so why do I want to do it on you? But and now I understand why. I mean,
he
he's
doesn't
not
want
there.
to see you in
But
the
now,
same as.
but now, if I asked him today, he would absolutely do it for me. If he's down here and I'm like, hey, can you give me a little range of motion? He would. So that has changed. But I was a jerk to my brother back in the day. And he got picked on a lot, and you know, and then especially then after my accident here, everybody focuses life on me and not my brother. So he got the short end of the stick there, and he got the shaft, I guess you can say. But we tried our best, and he's very adventurous, and he went off to college in Europe for his PT school. So I was
Well,
so
that's
happy.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
you know, and he went to Europe, and he stayed there for a summer, and we paid for a Euro pass for him to take the Euro pass everywhere, and we tried, but it's still he got hurt, and I know to this day it probably affected him a little bit. How is your parents? I know you and your mom are really close, and she helps you a lot. But how is she still worry about? I mean, they always worry about you, but how was your relationship with your mom, Shawn?
My relationship with my mom's good. Like I said in the beginning, she was there all the time. My whole like start my rehab stay and everything. She was there every day, living across the street from the hospital. So, uh, I mean, that definitely, I'm sure it helped get us close. I mean, I feel like I've always been pretty close to my mom because, like I was pretty much I spent most of my time with my mom. She was a single mom with me and my brother, raising us for until when I was 17 and graduated high school. I moved out with my dad because she had moved back to Ohio at that point. Was when she was moving, but we've always stayed close, and even now, like she comes to all our abilities expos we do, like any event. She lives in Arizona, but still comes out all the time, and like just for at least the bigger events and stuff. So she'll come out a lot of times. Like she came to Chicago. She just came actually a couple weeks ago. Was here for the weekend after getting back from Hawaii. So she's just yeah. Luckily, she got back from Hawaii a little bit before
I know.
everything
Was
happened
she
out
in
there.
Maui? Was she in Maui?
Was she in Maui? Mom, were you in Maui? If you're in the chat.
That's how
Uh,
you know if your parent, your mom's
Grandma's in the chat.
still paying attention. Like,
But yeah, so we do. I think we have a pretty good relationship. We used to talk a lot more often on the phone. She called me all the time, and I probably would reluctant like. I always sound like a grumpy ass when I'm answering the phone. I'm sure most of the time.
you definitely
So
do always sound
I'm
like a grumpy.
sorry. I know. I have
No,
a.
what do you want?
I don't know why I answer the phone like that a lot of times, and I apologize. So yeah, but it's not that I'm not happy to talk to somebody. So, and yeah, she does still calls all the time. She'll call and like check in, and she's always in the chat. Usually here, says hi, and different things. So.
And
You know,
Saran, it seems like you and your sister are really close. I mean, a lot of
yeah,
times when
she
you're calling me,
she's
or she's around, or she's driving you before you had hand controls. So you guys are really close together now.
she's my caretaker. She has been my caretaker for a long time. Going back, tracking a little bit, I tried caretakers, different caretakers, and back in the day, let's say 13, 14 years ago, it's impossible for me to find a good caretaker back then. And then my sister was like, what am I doing here for free? I'm doing this for free for a long time. Why don't I just, be your caretaker? So she's been my right arm pretty much all the time. And you see her you guys will see her 95% of the time. But now since I'm driving, I'm hoping that's gonna be my wife, but she's she's scared to go with me because she knows that if I take her to any of these active sports, she's gonna she's gonna get on a wheelchair and play as well with us.
Oh, great. Well, that's good. That's good.
So it's my sister, yeah, Shabana, my older sister. She's the closest to me. She's been always encouraging me. I had depression for many, many years. All of us go through some sort of depression in our lifetimes, multiple times in our cases, when you're injured, because it's just it comes. You can't. Sometimes we got too many plates and we cannot carry them, so it's normal. But yeah,
Yeah.
she's my ride or die caretaker sister.
So when you say what is that involved, if you don't mind asking?
Oh, no, it's okay. So, let's say when I get out
Who's
of
driving
surgery,
you? Is one right?
driving
Driving you.
one,
Yeah.
when I used to have for many years, every month I would get UTIs, I would get sepsis, and I couldn't pick up my body. Or let's say if I have fallen or I'm on the ground and I need some boost, we can't always pick ourselves. We need some boost. But she knows such a trick to holding from here so that I can hold on to her and she would pull me. But pretty much any hospital, any UTI, any sepsis I got, I'm done. She has to help me fully because I cannot pick up my arms. I cannot pick up my body. I become my energy, recovery, all that. It just becomes completely zero. And she's always there to help me out in case in the shower. So for 17 years in America, I used to live in this place that I had to transfer to three chairs. So my wheelchair to this chair, from that chair to the commode, from the commode to the shower chair,
Wow.
because the restroom was this much. This was the space of the restroom, this much. That's it. My wheelchair would not fit, and they didn't want to what is it called, modify the restroom, and we couldn't pay anywhere else because rent was going off the roof, and I, work is also barely paid to pay to check. But so yeah, the restroom, I had to deal with that for many years, and now I'm looking at it, I'm like, that was so wrong. I should have hired a lawyer. But yeah, some buildings do not want to do modifications because of they were like, oh, we were built before the ADA or some rule that they can always get away with. And unfortunately, I was in one of those buildings. I couldn't leave that building because of my mom. I wanted her happiness because a lot of Afghani people from Afghanistan were living in that building, and all my family main goal is to make sure my mom is healthy, happy in her life, because my mom has seen a lot, so and mom is the greatest gift to us all.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll tell you one thing that was everybody knew my parents when I was living up in the valley because my parents got involved with. My mom would not come to see rugby games. That's the only thing she didn't do. But my mom would go to my over the line games. And one day I came home and there used to be, it was like an auto trader, and some of you might remember Disabled Dealer
Yep.
magazine. And so it was a auto trader for people who were trying to sell their used vehicles or
Yep.
wheelchairs
Yeah.
or
Ramp
equipment.
bands and yeah, all
Yeah,
kinds.
yeah. So my mom and dad bought the business into the franchise because it was a franchise. Because one of my old board members from a nonprofit I used to work with, he one day just told me like, "Oh, we're selling Disabled Dealer," and I just thought, "Oh, my mom's doctor's office that she worked at for so long just shut down." And so she and my dad bought that and they ran that. And, they would have a lot of advertisers from the different van companies. A lot of, my mom posted many stories about many different people, uh, and people would try to sell their van. And it was a free publication that we would take to and send out to rehabs all over Southern California. It was California. It was actually all of California and Nevada and Vegas. So at first, I started helping out and did a lot of the running around for my parents. Um, Working with your parents is not my thing. I love my parents, but I didn't like. I wanted my independence, and I've always been like that. And so I just felt like I want to go do my own thing and went out and, when somebody offered me a job for selling catheters, which I didn't get into the best job I wanted, but I took it. And, but so my mom and dad got to know everybody going to all the Abilities Expo, and everybody knew my parents. So, it was, my parents were known as Bobby's mom and Bobby's dad. And, that was great, to have them around. And at times, I loved it. And at times, it's embarrassing, when your mom and dad are with you all the time, you're like, okay. But it was overall, a lot of fun to have them into that, into my world. Um, and I think some of that when my parents, especially my mom, always found really interesting people, I always try to outbetter those people and try to be above and beyond because I wanted my mom to recognize me and not them. And something I'm talking about in therapy all the time, so I got to get over it. And, that's, uh, that, like I said, I'm always trying to tell my mom I'm okay by doing those kind of things, accomplishing all these things. Um, So, and now
Yeah.
that they're not, the publication after a while, with mailing cost and advertisement costs, people start going less and less. So they had to fold the magazine, and a lot of people were, sad about it who loved the publication and loved to receive it in the mail and pick it up at rehabs. So
Yeah, I remember those when I was first hurt. They were at Northridge Hospital, and I remember getting them, signing up for it. Uh, yeah, that was cool. That was like a, and I remember when I found out that you guys were doing that. I thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, wait, Bobby does these? Because I was like saw them at the hospital, and like I was getting them, and I didn't know that was like your thing, like you and your parents were doing and stuff. So I remember finding that out and just thinking it was really cool.
uh,
Is it so? I've got to ask something. Let's see. If you guys have also had this kind of feeling. I used to get these magazines from some of the companies that had wheelchairs for sale, or they knew companies that sold wheelchairs. So they would bunch up all the wheelchairs in one magazine and send it to the mail. I would literally wait for that magazine and see what kind of cool wheelchairs there is so I could climb the stairs or go off road. And I don't know if you guys had a similar thing like that. Like you would get like some sort of magazines where from like let's say United Spinal or is it Abilities Expo. where you would get like these kind of company. But most of them would be like scooters back in the day.
Yeah.
And I would be hoping, like, please let this scooter be a cool sports scooter so I can go buy
Or
it.
scooter.
I got lucky that I sold wheelchairs for 6, 7, 8 years. Can't remember, and so I got a lot of stuff free, so I didn't have to look at the magazines anymore. The reps would be at the door, so I always had free cushions for a long time working there. And then eventually, Colors was like, "Well, duh, he sells it, chairs. Let's get him in a chair," and it only made good sense for them. So that's how I got on Team Colors and was sponsored by them for a lot of years. So all that stuff was cheaper. When just before, what type of rugby chair do you have, Shawn?
Vesco. Vesco
Vesco.
Metalcraft. Yeah.
Vesco and Rhino was making they just started making chairs, but Quickie had their own version of a piece of crap, all court and
I kind of remember.
shadow chair, and those were given to me, so that was cool, and so I got the stuff like that, and I had a hand bike. I did pay for the hand bike and a ski on my own. Those two things. So I had a water ski and a hand bike, but the hand bike I had to transfer into it. So I didn't use it that much, and then I started loaning it out and never saw it again. I remember the last person who had it, and I just said, if you're using it, go for it, because especially at that time, I was definitely living on my own, so I didn't have anybody around to help me transfer into it. Unlike when I was first living at home, my dad would put me in it, and it was great. And one of the biggest accomplishments I did was do a ride that day where it was the same ride that I did the day of my accident. And, once I did that, I was like, all right, I accomplished that. So it didn't feel as much. And then my water ski that I paid for, I had to get rid of because I broke my leg. And that was a fun conversation, calling my dad calling my mom to say, yeah, he broke his leg really bad water skiing because my dad was behind me. And, so I said, oh, I think I broke my leg. And my dad's like, yeah, you probably didn't. And then when he took me to shore and looked at it, he goes, oh, crap. It was like moving in weird ways. So it's just like,
no more going like this. It was
no more. So,
oh, yeah, definitely broken.
Yeah. So did
your ski have like your feet strapped in, or were you not? They just hanging out?
It went over the cage, and then your feet goes into like
a Velcro,
like a rubber, but it was rubber, so it didn't hold it as well as it should. It should have had a boot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because that's what I was gonna say. Because for mine, I've fallen pretty good when I'm water skiing, and sometimes my ass will come out of that thing, but my feet don't. I'm like, my feet are still still attached up there to the ski, and I'm like floating in the water, like get out, like because it puts me under the water more, because my feet are still up at the ski. Yeah, so that's why I'm like, damn, how did your feet come out of there?
Yeah, looking up Tommy Hollenstein on Instagram.
He's the man.
Tommy. He's got the best. That's the only time I've tried water skiing. I'll only use if I can use his water ski.
He uses more of like a surfboard. He has like a mini surfboard instead of like a wakeboard style. And I would love to try that. I've never got a chance to try it, but it seems fun.
Yeah, I mean, when he had me try it, I was just like, dude, I want one of these. But, I didn't have enough boat time to, that much friends to warrant to get that type of water ski at the time.
Yeah.
As you guys can see, that we have tortured our families a lot from our extreme sport personalities.
That is another, I'm sure, big aspect.
And I am the youngest
growing
one.
up, I was always kind of that little like wild kid. I wanted to go fast. I wanted to jump off things. I wanted all the like wild. And my mom was always trying to be overprotective, trying to stop that. But there was just not a lot of stopping it, especially when I was younger. I've settled down now, but settled down.
I went to my best.
Shawn?
Go ahead.
I would be that idiot who would find literally the highest street with a downhill going the longest, not knowing that, hey, your wheels get hot, and I would be like, I'm going to pop a wheelie and go bottom at full speed. How am I going to stop? Don't know. I guess my arms were just burned off.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah, because
wild.
you
You're
did
on
a lot
the
of
chair.
falling out of your chair too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Terrell?
You just gotta, just normally just get back up. That was the thing. But now I can't get back up. I'm overweight.
Yeah. I mean, there are two stories I have. One with both my mom and one with my dad. But there was one time I was getting out of my. I just got home from a wheelchair football tournament in Santa Barbara, and my ramp wasn't working. And my ramp, when the door opened, but the ramp didn't go down, so I could swing it out. And I did it a couple times where I can go backwards and pop down and then get out that way. Well, I tried to do it that night, and I guess probably from being in Santa Barbara for 2 days, I was so tired and out of my chair. And I was in my driveway. My roommate wasn't home. I was, screaming. I just, I had a cell phone at the time, but it was dead because I didn't have a, charger for it at the time. It was old school cell phone. And I did call a buddy that lived not that far from me. And I'm like, hey, I am just, and my phone went dead. He said hello. And I was about to tell him what happened. And my phone went dead. And then he's like, oh, I kept calling. But the funny thing is, my mom and dad were coming back from somewhere, and they didn't just stop by. That wasn't their thing. If they were going to come by, it was usually planned. But my mom said something like, oh, we should go by and see Bobby. I don't know. She had a weird sense. And thank God they did, because they drive up I had a circular driveway, and they drove up. They both got out of their cars and went. I'm like, and I was tired and it was dark, and I'm like, hey. And they both go into my house and they're calling my name, Bobby, looking everywhere. Finally, my dad comes out thinking like maybe he's in his van, and I'm on the driveway, and they're like, oh my God. So, my mom had this sixth sense, and she did unfortunately have the sixth sense of that I was going to be in that type of accident that I did. So she always hated when I was on the bicycle. Every time I raced or in a training ride, she'd be like, ugh. She kind of had a sense that knowing something, wasn't right about me riding, and it eventually wound it up that time. But a fun story of stressing my parents out. I told my best friend, I want to go skydiving. So me and my girlfriend and him, we went and did skydiving. Or I was the only one that did it that day, I think. And my buddy David Lowy, he was in a chair too, and he had already done it. So he's like, yeah, you will go out to Paris. And so him and I went out and we skydived, and I got it on videotape. So a few weeks later, I finally like, hey, Mom, Dad, check this out. I got a video I want you to see. And boom, there it is. Like, my mom and dad are like, unreal. I can't believe you, so. And now I take care of myself a lot more for the wife. I didn't do it so much for my family, but now, I know injuries and I know how long it takes me to recover from. So I try to avoid, I'd love to go skydiving with somebody again, but, I'm not going to take the risk for my wife, because she's the one that has to take care of me. And that's
now
not fair.
the medical bills too.
Yeah.
It's expensive now. Yeah. A recovery.
Yeah. So, now, and I'm older and I'm wiser. So
I wanted to share this experience. The Reseda Hills, yeah? You were in the base, so you know about that one, Bobby. Oh God, I hope my sister's not gonna get angry at this with me. So my sister, we went to the top of the Reseda Hill. My sister, I'm telling my sister, hey sister, I think I'm gonna go down this hill with my wheelchair, pop and wheelie, full speed. Can you support me on this one? She's like, no. You want to kill yourself? No, I'm okay. So we talked about it, and she's like, okay, I'll be on the side of you in case, God forbid, something happens. I'll go in front and so I can stop you. and I'm popping Willie. I'm going from top to bottom. At the bottom of the Reseda Hill, bro, all of this part was char black completely. But it was the most funnest thing I've ever done because it gets your wheels get, well, actually, I don't condone this. Don't try this, please. Actually, don't try this at all. This is very dangerous. This is because I was dumb idiot. But yeah, I went off from the top of the Reseda Hill, popping wheelie and going bottom because I can hold my balance with wheelie easier than just going flat. That's one of the thing I did, Bobby, from Reseda Hill. And another time, I was trying to go from the bottom to top, trying to go like Rambo style and get some, strength. And I went like 25% of it, and I pulled my back, and I was out for 2 months. And my sister had to deal with this. So yeah, things kind of molder now.
Angry Quad asks, do you have a plan to get in your chair now? Or any of you guys? What do you mean by in your chair now?
Because you're talking about falling out, and I think
Oh,
so. For me,
to get in
Angry
your
Quad,
chair.
I don't. But the reason why, because I can't get back into my chair, I can't do a ground to chair transfer. Like without triceps, it's just not. I can't. So I just always transfer with my cell phone on my lap, pretty much. Like so, if I go to the ground, that thing's coming with me, and I don't know. I've every time I have fallen, I've been able to have my cell phone right there with me to make a call and get help. So
Yeah,
make sure
we
your
have
cell phone's charged and within reaching distance is my
yeah
only advice I have for
yeah
quads.
Angry Quad. I cannot get in my chair by myself at all, even if I tried. So what we do is I'm on the ground. My wife tucks my knees to my chest, and she has my chair tipped down, and she tries to get the backrest under my butt, and then I kind of grab the wheels and I slide into it like I'm just still sitting in my chair. She puts my feet over the top, and then she gets down and lifts up. So
I've
it's like
seen videos of that technique online for like for one person to help you get into your chair that can't lift your body like that. So that's cool. That works. That's,
it, and now it. I mean, my wife's gotten a little bit weaker, where it's hard on her. So luckily, knock on wood, that I haven't fallen out of my chair in quite some time. So I'm going to try to keep it that way. I uh, going out, like I went and visit my brother, and now a lot of places that we go, or if we just go for a walk, I wear my weight belt like this, and I don't care. Like I'm at my grandson's baseball games, I wear this, and it wraps around, and I can easily do it.
That's a
Get it on it.
bodybuilding
Yeah, it was.
belt.
And this was my rugby belt. It's probably 30 years old, and I have another one brand new. I hate using it because it's not broken in. I still love this old ratty one. I've just recently replaced the Velcro on it, so I'm just now like, I want to not fall out of my chair and hurt myself because it's not fun. I've already been through enough. So, but what made me think of it, just one day I was at my grandson's game and at a new place and hit a crack and fell forward, and I came close, and somebody had to just kind of help me sit up again, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go with my belt everywhere now. Put it in my car. When I don't go like to the doctor and then put it on, but for the most part, if I'm gonna be out moving in areas for the couple hours, I'm gonna put it on.
okay.
Bobby's
Cool. I didn't know you were doing that.
Yeah.
Bobby's been trying to get me to wear a seatbelt for 30 years. It's not going well.
A
I'm
seatbelt's on
not
your
wearing
chair?
it. Yeah.
I've never had a seatbelt, but
That's the first rule. Whenever you get a wheelchair, what do we do, Shawn?
We
We
used to
get
take
rid
it off.
of the
Angry Quad
yeah.
asks, "Is that a seatbelt?" And yeah, he does pretty. It's his chest strap. But
Yeah.
honestly, I actually just I did for the last when I do my like massage kind of cupping that I do. It's like a deep tissue on my shoulder and stuff. A lot of times I stay in my chair all the time just because I only want my back worked on. Like and I like the spasms I get when I lay flat. It's just hard. So I would always kind of like hook my arm and be like leaning into my arm while I'm getting my back worked on, which is not a good position. So I finally started
Mm.
using my chest belt for that. So now I start bringing my belt and I use it so that I can lean forward and just lean into my belt and get like the work done,
Yeah.
and not stress my muscles out while I'm holding myself up to get work done.
Yeah. Plus also your core muscle, because
What?
if you go more front, you can also have more chance of falling
Well,
forward.
because I don't have core muscles, like if I go too far forward, I'm just gonna fall forward. Like,
Yeah.
But, when I go for a walk with my wife, with the dogs, I'll wear it. When I work out and we're doing certain like deadlifts, and we got to come out like this, forward and up.
yeah,
And if one, too far forward, I'm gonna be, on my lap, and if I might have too much momentum, I could be on the ground. So I still get the same. I get a better workout when I know that I'm not going to fall to the side all the way, or fall forward. And I don't have my chair too tippy. It tips enough where I can just pop a wheelie.
You
Yeah.
guys have buckets, like
So
the
I have
back of the
I have a
chair.
lot of bucket. Yeah, a
yeah.
dump
Yeah.
bucket, whatever they want to call it.
My chair has
I
six
get.
and a half inches of bucket or dump, so my
Ooh.
butt is down in there, and it helps. That's what as a quad, and I have really big high side guards that go all the way up pretty much to my wheel. They go up like my whole hip side, so that I'm pretty stable in this. Like
Okay.
as
Yeah.
far
So
as like side to side fall. Yeah, I'm pretty. My chair, I like this chair a lot.
let
So
me
I get it.
see.
So I get it like this, and then I just
Just wear it.
Throw it over your back. That's the way
Bobby, that
Mike DeYoung does that like at rugby these days, and I've been watching. See, I don't know if I'm down for that, but I was thinking
this
about trying.
this used
is.
to be riveted to my one of my rugby chairs, and then I had Velcro on the backrest where it would always be on my rugby chair. And then one day I said I needed it for something. I think I went pushing with friends, and I just took it off, and now I've always worn it as to go pushing, exercise. And then it's got a D hook. It's called a D ring
Yeah,
that I can reach behind. Let's see if I can turn to the side.
Bobby, how much does the belt weight? It looks a little bit
Oh,
heavy.
it doesn't. No, it's. I mean, if you, maybe
they're
maybe
a couple
almost.
pounds. They're not heavy.
So then I tighten
Pounds.
it.
Oh,
So
okay. So it's quad friendly. Oh, I love
yeah,
that.
quad friendly. It's got the ring right there. The Velcro. I made the Velcro a little bit longer, and made it so it hits around. But now I can just stay like this.
Yeah,
And so when I'm working out and I'm going hard, like let's say I'm doing rowing, like I don't have to worry about it. I go hard. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, because I
Because I
have to
do
keep
that.
my.
I sometimes will
Yeah.
hesitate in workouts because I'm not wanting to lean too far forward. That's why I love the rugby chair and having that chest strap. Like I get such a good workout in that chair because I can push with 100% of what and not worry about falling anywhere. So that's
yeah.
It's cool.
It just makes life a lot easier. And Donald said, except during driving, but use a chest strap when driving, cooking, and reaching out. I mean, I love it. I love that, like reaching out to get something. It's like, oh, yeah, not to worry about your balance. It makes it so much easier. To get things off the ground, it's a little more of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, you
But
can't
like,
bend quite as far,
yeah,
or you're gonna push a fart out.
yeah, you're like, oh.
I was gonna say earlier, when it was about picking yourself from the ground. I remember back in the day, I was really embarrassed in case if I fell on the ground in front of people. God, the embarrassment! Oh man, I felt it horrible. Now I'm like, if I fall on the ground, I can get back up by myself, but somebody else is gonna be blind if they're looking at me because my booty is gonna show completely.
Yeah. Hip grip. Yeah, you can like it. You can still get it. Uh, go on Amazon. Like Amazon for everything. But
They do, yeah.
yeah, who's that? It's
They have some really good ones.
yeah, the company Schleck. Is that it?
I don't know.
They
That is a
make,
good belt.
I
but
have
you
an
can,
older Nike one I've used forever, and it's
yeah,
good. Um,
and I mean, there's some that go like, I mean, pretty high. This one is, I think, 4 inches or 5 inches, and you can get them. And then what I did is just got online and bought Velcro, and take it to a shoe repair shop. They have sewing machines that will sew into these types of belts. It's a workout belt, gym belt. Don't get the leather. Get one with Velcro, and then at Home Depot or Amazon, you can buy the D ring, so you can use the D ring.
yeah.
Oh, you can latch inside of it. Oh, I see. Into the Velcro.
So
Yeah,
let's
That's pretty smart.
go
yeah,
ahead and thank sponsors too right now, since it's getting a little later. We've been on for quite a while.
yeah.
Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Do you want to do it, Bob? You want me to thank?
I'll do it. Yeah, why
All
not?
right, bro.
I can do it. I usually like having Soto do it, but all right. Our sponsors are mobility professionals here in Southern California. They're out there working for us. They have people in chairs there to help understand their other employees that need to understand you and what your equipment needs. Mobility professionals, if you're in the Southern California area, look them up. They take most insurances. I would call first and get hooked up by them. They've always treated us very well, and they treat our community well, which is really important. And then
Urology.
urology professionals. I always do that. They're nationwide, so you can give them a call, and they do the catheters and medical equipment, just not the wheelchairs. So look them up if you're in out of state of Southern California and looking for a good urology place. Urology professionals is your place to order. So
Yeah, no one needs to be waiting for catheters or,
yeah,
not getting enough for the month. So make sure to call them; they'll take care of you. And yeah, we love our sponsors. Thank you guys.
yeah.
And then so let's do some of our shows too. Tomorrow, Tom, even though he's gone today, says he will be on tomorrow for gaming. Sarab, you better hold him to it because you're your gaming partner over there. So live gaming tomorrow at 5. Tom, Sarab will probably be on there, I'm sure. Mr.
Or
Wells probably. We got what's that?
we'll have to call Sarab up again to the big leagues for that.
I
So
know. You might have to do the gaming if Tom's still. Maybe he's lost at sea right now. Just kidding.
If you guys play any games, you would like to join our Discord. Discord is where gamers usually hang out, and it's for businesses. Come through. I can. You guys have our socials in the description. You guys can add us, and if you are interested in gaming with us, we can definitely invite you to the Discord.
Yeah, they're always looking for people to game with and hop on. So hit them up and we'll get it set up. And then this week we got Thursday. We have the women's show this week with Brianna doing the women's disability show. So the girls will be on Thursday, 3 o'clock. Check them out. I'm not 100% sure on the topic yet, but we will get it posted and shared soon. And then we will be back next week, Tuesday, another live every week, 3:30. We'll be on like usual. And we also got finally updated the banner, the Over the Hill banner with all three guys now. And Over the Hill show next Thursday will be on with Bobby, Robert, and Luis talking about some aging with disability topics. So watch all the shows. Make sure to click that bell so you get notifications. Follow us on all our other social medias. And what's up later, Angry Quad? Hey, Graciela. And yeah, thanks for
later,
watching, everybody.
Darren.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. One thing, let's real quick. I want to just wrap up. Much love to all the moms and dads and family members that have taken care of us. Thanks to the wives, the girlfriends, husbands,
The
that
brothers.
and brothers
Brothers,
that
sisters.
that that are there for us. Go easy on them. They're doing their best when you are having those frustrating days. Be blessed that you have it. Some people don't have that. Some people, especially if you're older and maybe a single guy, sometimes you don't have that. But family, hopefully you're close to your family. Remember, even if you're not injured, anything can happen in a split second. And it's nice to know that they might have your back one day. So
Yeah.
much thanks to my mom and dad. Love you so much. My wife, Ellen, my brother, Matt, my cousins who, are always there and never treat like I'm in, myself as in a chair and always include me in everything. So much love to
100%.
all my families, and especially my brother right now. Um, he's a good guy.
Yeah. And much love to
Find
all the
ways
fans, Rob. I know we can thank everybody, but really just we do appreciate it. Family is so important. And honestly, it's the most important thing. So make sure you're respectful, kind to your family, build those relationships because it is a good thing to have. And yeah, you never know when you're going to need somebody or when they might need you. So,
Yeah, and too bad Tom wasn't here today because he would have had a lot to say, with his mom and dad helping him out and what they do for him now today. So we love you out there. Um, and so one day we'll have to bring this back up and have Shawn's mom and grandma and my wife and Tom's parents on. So I look forward to that in the future.
yeah, we do plan to do that. We want to have an episode where we talk to the family. So look for that in the future. Should be coming up sometime, uh,
Yeah.
maybe later this year. So
Yeah.
thank you.
I
And
mentioned,
also, one last announcement. I don't have the flyer here yet, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think. But on September 3rd, if you're local to SoCal, we are going to do a little barbecue fundraiser end of the summer, little gathering at Bobby's house. So hit us up, give us a call. $25 to come. We're gonna be barbecuing all kinds of good stuff. I don't know what's on the menu yet. I have to ask Bobby here, but it
never
I can
know.
find the link.
should be really fun. And the only other thing is you got to bring a side or dessert just to help, a little bit potluck style. But we're gonna be barbecuing all the meats and stuff. So yeah,
Get
just wanted to
creative
shout
on your
that out
sides.
too.
Yeah,
What's
get
that?
creative on your sides.
Yeah,
And
get creative.
Black Olive, if you're still there, if you can make it down, we would love to have you. You're always
I'm
in
gonna
our
drop.
Olivia, so I'd love for you to come down.
I'll drop the link in the chat. Your Facebook post.
Okay,
Let me see if it
I'll wait for
works.
him to get that up real quick before I end it.
Let's see if it
Uh,
went
That
through.
like
Cause
button. That like button.
And I can add it to the description too. But you can
oh,
go, you can buy
perfect.
tickets, or you can just email us if you want. And I actually have to set up that tickets right now from our shop for our online store. So let me finish setting that up. I started doing it, but wanted to finalize the flyer. So we got that going, and yeah,
It's
It
on
didn't go through.
Instagram, Donald. And
it's
yes, Grandma said you can always donate if you can't make it. We'd love to, you know.
It
Shawn
didn't
works
go through,
very,
Shawn.
very hard and tries to send us to all these shows so we can get the word out and grow this channel. So some of it comes out of his pocket. So let's help out Shawn. If you're not able to make it, make a donation.
thank you. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you guys all for watching and hanging out with us. We'll see you on all the other shows. Like I said, make sure to stay notified with that bell, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys next time. Live to roll, everyone.